All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem, Yahawashi by Hashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutation unto the hopeful elect, the 1/3 of Yasha Allah, upholding the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability. Peace and salutation. This is the brother Bakwasha, and I want to cover the persecution that is before us, because it's really a testament to the prophets of Yahawashi. And I'm going to start here in the book of Acts, the 14th chapter and the 22nd verse. It says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of Yahawashi. So that's what we're doing now. Okay, confirming the souls of the disciples, those that are constantly edifying this word of Yahawashi. Okay, exalting this word of Yahawashi, crying aloud and sparing not. It says, and exhorting them to continue in the faith, because faith is the gift that was given to us by Yahawashi to exercise during this tribulation. Because these tribulations that we're going to go through, this persecution that we're going to go through, Lord will, okay, is no different than what our forefathers have gone through. And I'm going to bring up a couple of scenarios. But before I do that, let me bring out, this is Baruch chapter 4, verse 25. It says, my children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from Yahweh. For thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. So this is the reward of faith, okay? Suffering patiently, because in due time, in a very near season, okay, we're going to see the destruction of Esau, the so-called white man, and we're going to tread upon his neck. Okay, this is John chapter 15, verse 18. It says, if the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. Talking about Yahawashi, because obviously he was crucified by our own people. All right. It says, if ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you. Verse 20, remember the word that I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. So once again, that persecution means that at any given time, being an Israelite, as long as we're on in this captivity, there's going to be tribulation. Okay, there's going to be suffering. All right. So going into this word here, persecution, it says, in any way, whatever, to harass, trouble, okay, to persecute. All right, to mistreat, to suffer persecution. It says, to run swiftly in order to catch a person or a thing, and really that's what this whole the earth being given into the hand of the wicked really has done. All of these laws, all of these fictitious allegations, okay, and accusations that come up against Israelites. The only reason it's coming up against Israelites is because to persecute us, to try to prevent us to lose our faith in Yahawashi. Okay. And matter of fact, here's a quick list that I had just pulled up. And this is from the Old Testament, and just a couple of scenarios, right? Being persecuted by foreign nations. Okay. Egypt, the most prominent example is the Israelites' enslavement and oppression in Egypt, where they were forced into hard labor and faced harsh treatment. The Egyptians feared the growing Israelite population, leading to increased oppression and even the killing of newborn Israelite boys. And that's exactly what Herod wanted to do to Yahawashi. Okay. And so I'll go back to John 15. It says, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. And so that was what was happening then, but it's also happening now. They were seeking Yahawashi to kill him, to crucify him. And ultimately they did. But likewise now, those same other heathen nations are out to crucify the hopeful elect. Okay? It says, Assyria, the northern kingdom of Israel, was conquered by the Assyrians who exiled many of its inhabitants. This led to the disappearance of the 10 northern tribes from history. Babylonian. The southern kingdom of Judah was conquered by Nebuchadnezzar, leading to the Babylonian exile, during which many Judeans were forced into exile in Babylon. Okay, Israelites. The Philistines. The Israelites faced repeated attacks, oppression from the Philistines. The Israelites faced persecution from the Philistines even when they were at their best. And then this is the point I wanted to make. It says other surrounding nations. The Bible also mentions oppression by groups such as the Ammonites, Edomites, Canaanites, Sidonians, Hivites, Moabites, and Midianites. And obviously we can read that, and I'll pull that up real quick in Psalms 83. Because persecution in itself is to prevent what? Let's read it. This is Psalms 83 verse. Let's start at verse 2. It says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. All of these nations, okay, persecuted Israelites, okay? These are the same nations that are reincarnated, still persecuting Israelites to this day. Why? Because they are the ones that didn't want Yahawashi, okay, to exist. Because that is the author and the finisher of our faith. We were given faith to use during these times of persecution. So to remove Yahawashi is to remove faith. And that's exactly what they thought that they were going to get accomplished by crucifying him. Okay. Verse 2, it says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. That's persecution. Okay. And matter of fact, let's grab that definition. It says, in any way, whatever, to harass, trouble, okay, to persecute, mistreat, okay, to seek after eagerly, earnestly, endeavor to acquire. It says back in Psalms 83 verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. That's it, period. That's the whole point of persecution. That's the whole point of the accuser of our brethren, okay? Pursuing the Revelations, the 12th chapter, all right? So in all of these scenarios, and this is just in the Old Testament, and there's many scenarios. I even brought it up in the Apocrypha, right? You got Antiochus, right? You had the Greeks, right? You had Alexander, right? And this is persecution based on our belief, right? And that's what's going on even to this day, right? You know, Esau will say, you know, in his constitution that you have the right to exercise your own belief. But when you're out there on the highways and byways, he's now using other clips to try to swarm in to do what? To get the prophets of the Lord off the highways and byways, to try to crucify the body of Yahawashi once again. Okay. It says false accusations. Let me scroll down here a little bit. There's one more I wanted to cover in the New Testament. It says, because there's one specifically. Yep, here we go. Persecution by the Roman authorities. It says the Roman authorities, at the behest of the leaders of the Jews, crucified Yahawashi. Imprisonment of the apostles, Peter was imprisoned by King Herod Agrippa. Okay, flogging, imprisonment. Paul and Silas were flogged and imprisoned by Gentiles. Riots and violence, right? There was another one that I wanted to go into. Oh, it's in I think I might have closed it, but it was going into Nero, and basically how he was coming after Israelites as well, right? So all throughout history, okay, going back to Psalms 83 verse 4, they have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembered." They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. That's the persecution in which we've been going through. And all of that persecution is coming to an end. Okay? This is 2 Corinthians chapter 4, and let's start at verse 7. It says, "But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of Yahweh and not of us. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken." And that's the thing that these other heathen nations want. They want us to be forsaken of Yahawashi. Okay? I'll read it back in Baruch. It says, "My children," Baruch 4:25, "my children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from Yahweh. For thine enemies hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shall tread upon his neck." They don't want to see that happen. They want to see us completely forsaken. And that's not what prophecy is about. That's not what Yahawashi's, the spirit of prophecy, his testimony is for. His testimony was to give us the spirit of prophecy that he was going to return and is returning and going to deliver us to where our enemies cannot remove the name of Israel from remembrance. Okay? It says persecuted but not forsaken, cast down but not destroyed. And you can only imagine, every kingdom that we've been in captivity, that these reincarnated people, our enemies, okay, are still trying to destroy us. Every kingdom from the beginning. Okay? Verse 11, that was really the point. It says, "Always bearing about in the body of the dying of the Lord Yahawashi, that the life also of Yahawashi might be made manifest in our body." Okay? Oh, I got to read down some more. It says, "For we which live are always delivered unto death for Yahawashi's sake." That's persecution right there. We're always delivered unto death. But because we're spiritual, we know that this flesh is temporal. We know that this kingdom is temporal. Just like it was with our brothers, in the Apocrypha. Hey, they knew the ending. Just like Job knew the ending. All of these scenarios are just to prove that regardless of the persecution, Yahweh Shai is still going to bring us through. Okay? It says, "For we which live are always delivered unto death for Yahawashi's sake, that the life also of Yahawashi might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. So then death worketh in us, but life in you." Because that's what this gospel does, man. It gives us life. Yahawashi's sacrifice gives us life, to where we don't concern ourselves with the flesh. Okay? We know that it's the spirit that quickeneth and maketh alive. The flesh profiteth nothing. Okay? Man, you can read the rest of that chapter. But let's move on. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Hamashiach may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Hamashiach's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And these are the things we have to constantly remember, man. Okay? It has nothing to do with this flesh, man. It's always spiritual. That's why faith is that component that Yahawashi has given us. Okay? But we also know, this is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12. Yea, and all that will live godly in Hamashiach Yahawashi shall suffer persecution. So it's just a part of it. Okay? It's been happening in for our forefathers. But this, Lord will, is the end of all persecutions. Okay? Because this is what's happening now. Deuteronomy 30 and 7. And the Lord thy power, Yahweh, will put all these curses upon thine enemies and all them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So that confederacy, that consulting against the hidden ones, everything in which all the rest of these other heathen nations have done, all those curses are going to come right back towards them. Okay? This is Psalm, actually, I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to bring this out. This is one I really want. This is Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 15. It says, behold, they say unto me, where is the word of the Lord? Let it come now. Because once again, the prophets of old, just like the prophets of now, everyone was talking smack, man. From the very beginning up till now, everyone's talking smack against the prophets of the Lord. Okay. But Yahawashi has the final say so. It says, this is Jeremiah 17 and 15. Behold, they say unto me, where is the word of the Lord? Let it come now. Mocking and scoffing, right? As for me, I have not hastened from being a pastor to follow thee. Neither have I desired the woeful day. Thou knowest that which came out of my lips was right before thee. Verse 17, be not a terror unto me. Thou art my hope in the day of evil. And that's what these other heathen nations don't want. They don't want us to have hope. They don't want us to have faith. They don't want us to have the components, the ingredients that Yahawashi has given us, which makes us a great and powerful nation. Okay? A great and wise and understanding nation. Okay? Verse 18, and this is the point, Jeremiah 17 and 18. Let them be confounded that persecute me, but let me not be confounded. Let them be dismayed, but let not me be dismayed. Bring upon them the day of evil and destroy them with double destruction. So yes, persecution is a part of it. Suffering righteously is a part of it. Okay. But as we start out with the scripture, and I'm going to end out with it as well. This is Acts 14 and 22, confirming. That means reassuring, letting you know. Okay. That's what this exhortation is about. Letting you know we're going to suffer. Okay. We're going to be persecuted. It's all good through Yahawashi, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of Yahawashi. So persecution is a part of the game. It's always been a part of the heritage of the saints. And that's the reason why Yahawashi is going to destroy these people. Another reason why Yahawashi is going to destroy these people for touching the apple of his eye. Okay, touching the offspring. Okay, those fruits. Those branches. Of Yahawashi. And so, Lord will, this was edifying for the elect. And until next time, shalom.